Go into your working folder and open up pads101.ai, if you will, and follow along with me. Now, before we get started, let me mention something really quick. At Infinite Skills, we do everything we can to make these lessons the best they can be to help you learn, but you have to cooperate on the other side. And I know you are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. But let me give you a suggestion based on studies. If you can study at the same time every day. Now, when I teach at university, my classes are always like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, from say 1 to 2. And studies have shown that your brain actually changes. The neurons in your brain actually kind of conform to that habit of always doing it at the same time. Now, that might seem unrealistic, and it probably is for some people. You just can't do that. But if you can, understand it really does help the learning process, like maybe every day early in the morning. I get up before anybody else in the house, and I have about an hour to myself before things start getting hectic. And to me, that's kind of my learning time, and I've gotten used to doing that. And I just wanted to mention that because learning to me is a very important thing. I know you think so too. But you can learn more efficiently, in a sense, if you get into the habit of learning. Now let's get back into what we're doing. We're talking in this chapter about pads and anchors, and we're going to play around with them. But the first lesson or two are just some basics. Now I've got a path up here, and this actually is from our friends at PhotoSpin. And you'll notice I can take something like this that doesn't look like much more than, say, a bunch of lines and turn it into something like that. Adobe Illustrator, the backbone of Adobe Illustrator, you couldn't have Illustrator without it, is anchors and paths. Let me go ahead and turn these two off for a second. Anchors themselves are created by, well, actually any tool that draws. We've been making anchors and paths since the beginning of this title. But the pen tool is the primary drawing tool. That's this one right here. That's the primary drawing tool in any illustrative program, any vector-driven program. I don't care what it is. I don't care what its name is. If it's a vector-driven, object-oriented program, it will have a pen tool. And we're going to have a whole chapter just on working with that one tool. But when you click with it, it creates these anchor points, okay? The anchor points are then connected together by paths. And that's where the fun begins. Now, there is a misconception, and I do it too. I will say that's a stroke. Okay, that's not a stroke. That's a path. Think of it this way. The bones in your body, you can't see them. Actually, I guess if you could, you'd need to go to the doctor. But you can't see them, but they can form the flesh around them, and then you have, well, a hand, an arm, whatever it is. The bones are controlling the shape. Paths aren't seen. They're not designed to be seen. Paths basically are controlling what they're wrapped in. Now, I do animation work in programs like Maya. We call it skinning. Like you make a Jurassic Park dinosaur out of vector shapes, and then you skin it. Literally, you're putting the skin on the Jurassic Park dinosaur. The same idea here. The path is there, but if there is no stroke on the path, it's invisible. And there are reasons why you want invisible paths. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can come up here. Now, I like being able to do this. See that little black dot come up? I'm kind of like closing my eyes and looking for something in a sense. There's a path there. If I click, you can see it. But you'll notice over here, there is no stroke on that path. If I click here and go ahead and give it a color, and then move over here and deselect it, you can see, now I can see it. Paths control how the shape looks. Once you have a path, basically that path can be bent by the anchors. We'll talk about that in the next lesson. But it can be bent into, well, a hot air balloon, whatever you want it to be. Now, if you can't see the path, let me do this. Let me reselect this one here. And you have a none button right there. And I click that, it goes away again. So now it's invisible. If you are looking for a path that maybe you drew and has no fill or stroke, and we'll talk about fills in that too, but if it's there and you can't find it, and it's kind of like blind man's bluff trying to figure out where it is, all you really have to do is go up to the word View on the pull-down menu and go down to Outline. It'll show you all your paths, even this one over here. So I had a path just like this one, no stroke, no fill, little happy face. Have a nice day. Paths control what we see, the shape. And as you're going to see in the next lesson, It's the anchors that control the paths.